Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs channel, and welcome to the Tottenham Hotspur versus Elfsborg match preview. Match day 8 of 8 of the Europa League. So we talk about the game, done a bit of research on Elfsborg and the style of play, the formation, all those things that we need to talk about, because definitely for a team like Elfsborg, we don't probably know enough about them. So we talk about that. We do have some unfortunate injury issues surrounding James Maddison, so we're going to be talking about that as well. And I will be real with you. I am going to be doing my utmost and best efforts to not bring in Daniel Levy chatter and things like that. We're going to keep it to strictly football in this video, all right? Because I know it's not for everyone, all right? So, yeah, let's talk about Elfsborg, and we'll talk about the situation that they find themselves in the Europa League. Spurs right now sitting 6th in the Europa League. Match day 8, like I said. So we played 7, we won 4, drawn 2, lost 1. Evening Spurs, Sonia, Adiz, Connor, how are we all? Look, yeah, like I said, match day 8, we're sitting in 6th on 14 points. We are 1 point clear of the next batch of teams from 9 to 24, which is Galatasaray in 9th, who have 13 points. We find Elfsborg down in that next batch of teams on 20th, on 10 points. They are two points clear of 25th, which is the next 8 from then on. 8, or is it like 11, something like that, next on, that aren't going to be in the qualifying phase for the knockouts. So they're in a really good spot, actually. They've played 7, they've won 3, they've lost 1. Sorry, they've drawn 1 and lost 3. I mean, scoring 9 in those 7 and conceding 11 in those 7. So right now they're in a really good spot. They've got plenty to fight for and play for. I mean, when I was looking at who they've actually played in the Europa League, because I think it's always telling. If they've played a bunch of nobodies, it's like, oh, well, come on. They lost match day 1 away to AZ Alkmaar 3-2. They then beat Roma 1-0, which I thought was a great result for them. They lost 4-3 away to Galatasaray. They drew at home to Braga 1-0. They then lose away to Athletic Bilbao 3-0. They beat Karabag 1-0. And then in their last round, they actually beat Nice from France 1-0. So they've, beating Karabag, that's not an easy one. Karabag are a defensively fairly sound team when it comes to these things. They beat Nice. They beat Roma. So they've beaten a couple of decent-sized clubs. They're in the fight with Galatasaray. They're in a fight with AZ Alkmaar. They drew with Braga. So look, we are talking about a team that are not a pushover. This is a decent enough team. This is a team that can cause you some issues. Even Giant Jazz in a coma. So look, really, really solid on that side of things. I went to do some research into the manager, his style of play, and things like that. So it's Oscar Hiljemark. I think I've said that correctly. Apologies if I've got it wrong. I was looking at his style of play, and it says, from a football point of view, Hiljemark's philosophy is dominating games and producing goal-scoring chances from positive possession, even though it comes down to the characteristics of the players available. Hiljemark said, coaching for me is about tactical knowledge and also personal management, which requires skill like communication, organization, and leadership. Now, I was looking at, well, what formation do they play? What are we going to be dealing with? It's a 3-4-3. That's what we're going to be dealing with. That's his most used formation. This season they've won a lot. They've obviously done fantastically well in the Europa League. Obviously, through the qualifying, they did really well to even get in the qualifying. Then obviously from there, there's even more from it. I was looking at, if I've got it here, I'll bring it back up, the Nice game. And they played at home. This was last week. They had 31% possession at home. Nice had over double the chances. They had 6 times the amount of shots on target. They had over the double of corners, but they couldn't break them down. And that's going to be interesting for Spurs. We're going to be dealing with a team that I think is going to be difficult to break down. We're going to be dealing with a team All right, okay. I might have some chance news. Not in terms of Spurs signing someone, but I want to talk about it. Yes, sorry. They're going to be a team that's going to be hard to break down. Kind of a counter-attacking side. You know, if you think Nice have 69% possession away from home, you're probably going to say Spurs are going to be holding on to 65, 70%. Okay. So what are we going to do with that controlling of play? Now, I was thinking, who's going to play in this game? Now, you're guaranteed one change already off the bat, which is Brandon Austin back in goal. Kinski, obviously not part of the European squad. So he's not an injury. It's not an injury, I promise. I know you're expecting it to be an injury. It's more of a, registration issue. Okay. Obviously, Jed Spencer's not going to be playing, but he wasn't playing at the weekend. So your back four, the irony is your back four is going to be the exact same as it was at the weekend and in Hoffenheim. And at Everton, it's going to be Archie Gray on the left. It's going to be Pedro Porro on the right. It's going to be Davies and Dragoshin. And I know people go, oh, I want to see Archie Gray in the midfield. And I get it. But I'm bored of listening to it because you can't do anything about it when you've got no defenders. So he's not going to be playing there, right? Midfield-wise, obviously Pape wasn't fit when he was playing at the weekend. So Pape's probably... Is he going to play? I really don't know. I really don't know. Bentancur, you would expect to play. Basuma was on the bench, but obviously didn't feature because I don't think he was very fit. Either one of Pape or Basuma you would expect to be featuring, and Bergvall being the other guy. The reason why I say that is James Maddison has got an injury from the Hoffenheim game. He is going to be missing for anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks. So we're going to be having James Maddison back in the middle of February, basically. Spurs at the moment have 8 fit first team players to select that are 18 and above. 8. Your front three, I mean, supposedly Rich Arlison, apparently he's okay. I saw Paul O'Keefe talking with someone on Twitter. Supposedly he's not injured, which is, it's a novelty. And it's a bit weird to see a player not be injured for Spurs. Johnson's obviously still out injured. Kulusevski will play right wing. And I mean, a part of me goes, do you play Mikey Moore? But he'll probably play Son. It's a big game. We need to win this. So he'll probably go with Son and hope that we get the job done early doors and we can sub Son off. If he is going to be starting Son, I think Son needs to be on a minutes count. 45 to 60 minutes, somewhere within there, nothing more than that. Mikey Moore will be obviously coming on for him. If Richarlison's obviously not 100% ready to go, then you're going to find Lankshield's have to start. He'll have to. And it's a worrying situation right now. Spurs obviously every single week seem to be losing more and more players. Obviously, Ange will get a blame for Maddison getting injured in the Hoffenheim game. He wasn't okay after Hoffenheim. Ange will somehow get a blame for that because that's what Spurs fans do. You direct your misery at someone else. But looking at it, what was the bench? Here we go. Should we have a look? What is it? Spurs versus Hoffenheim, right? This will be the telling situation of what the bench looked like. So the bench in this game was Will Lankshire, Mikey Moore, Callum Oluseyi, Forster Whiteman, Dante Casanova, Ajayi, and Hardy. So 2 keepers. Couldn't fill out a bench again. 2 keepers. And there's no youngster on there past the age of 18, is there? Or 19, whatever. Obviously, Maddison started this game. He's not going to be starting this game. So Basuma or Sarr are going to have to play. What the hell? You know what I mean? Hey, Steampunk, how are we? Evening, Indiana. What have you missed? Just talking Spurs, mate. Just talking Spurs. How is Ange playing the first seat injury? What is he supposed to do? Still see we are so F. Still no new signings. No, but I might have some. I might have a bit of a transfer update. A transfer update. Oh god, I just see miserable people on Twitter, just like, why is Ange just hands in his pockets? Oh god, just grow up, enjoy life a little bit. It's a Tuesday afternoon, you're complaining about that. Don't be miserable. Don't promise me with a good time, man. Well, look, I'm gonna be talking about it. I'll give you an update on who it is quickly. It's Matisse Tell. I will also talk about Evan Ferguson quickly. You're starting to look at Lang. Sorry, I was looking at him about 3 weeks ago, mate. So look, that's on Elfsborg. We'll interested to see what happens there. I mean, top goal scorer this season is Michael Baidu, in the qualifying, the Europa League, the Allsvenskan. Apologies, I've got that one wrong. I think he's got 15 and 10. Wait. Oh, I don't know. So it was 15 and 10 last season, I think it was. Um, It was something like that. I saw a weird stat on him. I don't really get it. It's in all competitions. But looking at it, he's the main guy up front. We'll have to see what happens from there. But for Spurs, look, this is obviously a must win for Spurs. A win will guarantee you knockout football for the Europa League. Looking at the Europa League table, I just want to see the teams that can get above us are all the way down to 15th. So we're in 6th. 15th and above can all finish above us. That's why it's a must win. Now, don't get me wrong. If you get a draw anywhere from 15th, so 13th, 14th, 15th couldn't finish above you. 11th and 12th could, but we need a goal swing. So you could be safe with a draw. But I'm not risking that because I'm not having a situation where Spurs are allowing 4 teams the opportunity to finish above them, because at the end of the day, all you need is one. So that's why for me, I'm looking at this is a must win. That's where I'm focusing on this personally. I don't know what you guys think. But I think we will win. I think we will win. I think 2-1. I don't even see it being like a really strong performance, like a really like dominant, you feel good about it. I just think Spurs might scrape it 2-1, which is a sad state of affairs. You're at home against a team in the Swedish league. You should win these 4 or 5-0. But I think it's going to be 2-1. I think, with what we are dealing with, injuries, fatigue, toxicity, I wonder what the atmosphere is going to be like, obviously. Yeah, I think 2-1. I think 2-1 is the way I'm going to go. And look, if it's 2-1 and you're through to the next round of the Europa League automatically without having to do the playoffs, that's your job done. That was your first job in the Europa League, was to get through into the top 8 and get it through, obviously. We would have done that. That's a big tick. It's something, as much as, we like to be all miserable all the time, it is something positive that you can look at that and go, okay, that's good at least. And, the League Cup, that's looking good. FA Cup, you're still in it. That's looking good. Yeah, Premier League. Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. Premier League's irrelevant. It's irrelevant state. It's a relevant league. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So yeah, 2-1. Let me know what you think on that side of things and what you expect from the game tomorrow. But I'm definitely going to go 2-1. I'm definitely going to go 2-1. Right, let's bring in a wee bit of transfer news. So, where is it? The reason why I bring this up is, if I bring it back up, I was talking about something earlier today, right? Yeah. So Premier Side said that Matisse Tell loan move had been discussed, right? I said that this morning in the previous video this morning. So if you've missed it, go back, watch it. I'm not talking about it. If you've missed it, you have to go watch it. All right. Is the game tomorrow? No, Thursday. Evening, Hogan, how are you? You see a pitch invasion tomorrow. We as much as I want them out, I hope that's not true. But this is an exclusive that came out 13 minutes ago. It's the thing that I saw early on. I swipe on my phone, I have a look at it, and I go, oh, hang on a second. So it's exclusive from Fabrizio Romano saying that Matisse Tell has just decided to leave Bayern in January. Bayern and player side will assess all options of the market. Chelsea had asked for Tell at the beginning of January, but there are more clubs also keen. The race is open. Now, I do not see Spurs doing this. Okay. Victor Boniface is going to Al Nassr. What the hell? He's going to be earning 15 million euros net per season. Okay, well, that probably explain why he's going. I don't see it happening. I think Chelsea. I think Chelsea want him. I think Chelsea are happy to move in Nkunku to Bayern. And I think they'll probably do Bayern a bit of a deal to make sure they can get Matisse Tell. I think Nkunku's a really good player, by the way. It's just a weird one. I think it's more of an injury situation with him. But I don't see this one happening. This does make a lot of sense. Matisse Tell can play a bit of wing. He can play striker, and it makes sense as to why Spurs would be keen. But I don't see it happening personally. Maybe I'm foolish. Maybe I'm wrong with it. But I don't see it happening. There was one that I wanted to bring in, again, from what Prem Inside put out this morning. And it was the chat around, there was talks that have been held over making a move for Brighton striker Evan Ferguson. I sent it to my friend, who is obviously a Brighton YouTuber, and I said, this Evan Ferguson situation, and it's someone who's really known the Brighton world. He works at Athletic, Andy Naylor, saying that Brighton are open to letting Evan Ferguson leave permanently this month. A bid has already been rejected. Spurs and Brighton don't have a bad relationship, to be honest. The Trossard bid was a bit weird, but obviously Basuma is a deal they only did a few years ago. And I said, how much do you reckon they'd accept? He said he doesn't have a clue, but he reckons, is it Leverkusen or something like that are most likely to get him? I actually said, and this is in reality, I think Evan Ferguson obviously has a bright future, but the guy hasn't stayed fit for about a year and a half, whatever. My friend said he had meningitis. Apparently, he hasn't seemed to have gotten over that. And he says he looks fatigued 24/7. I said, look, if it was £40 million or more, I wouldn't want to go near this deal. I don't see him leaving permanently, by the way. I think Brighton are going to want crazy money for him. And I don't see how any club is stupid enough to give him that money that they want. It's what you should want, by the way. I'm not disparaging Brighton for that. But for us, we already have injury issues. I then don't want to add to injury issues by bringing in a player who can't stay fit. It's why I said no to Grealish as well. You know, I like Grealish. I really like Grealish. I think he can be brilliant in the Spurs system. And I think he's a proper Spurs player with his attitude and style of playing, his flair. But he also can't stay fit. So there's no point bringing these players in. Do you know what's the hilarious thing? I've said it so many times, and people go, he was never going to come to us. And if you're going to say that, just take your comment and shut up. Was Conor Gallagher. I said, look, he's durable. He's not going to break down. He's not going to get injured. And he suits Ange Ball. And it was those sort of deals where I was like, look, players are going to break down in Ange Ball. You could do with some players who aren't going to break down. Gallagher was one of those guys. You know, so do you think the players will back Ange if it comes down to it? They back him now. Ferguson also doesn't want to move to come as he'd be a third choice on a loan move. Yeah, I think for some reason it screams West Ham because obviously Potter's at West Ham as well and the Brighton connection. I can see it happening. But yeah, I don't see that one either. I'm really struggling. Do you know what? I'm really, really struggling to see where these transfer moves are coming from. I obviously talked. It's so hilarious. People going, oh, let's get him T-Style. Let's get him. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I doubt you watch Bayern Munich to see how he is. You just see youngster, Bayern Munich, high praise, get him, buy him. He's going to be unreal. It's like, that's why you don't look at football Twitter for any real opinions. Jimenez for a final, 40 million euros. AC Milan can't afford it. Again, I don't. The thing is, I'm struggling with this one because, like, we obviously want a striker because Richarlison can't stay fit, but then also, I just can't. If he was stay, I don't know. I just think an attacker that can play in at least more than one position, ideally. Anyone with credibility said Brobby's not going to happen. So unless it does happen, I don't know. But I'm really struggling to see who we're going to buy for January. Obviously, we should have enough to get through it. Oh, this is embarrassing. We should have enough to get through Elfsborg. That's embarrassing. I shouldn't be saying or uttering or even thinking those words. Brentford at the weekend will have reinforcements back. Now, It's not what we want to hear because we should be signing players regardless of these injury situations. Now, the injury situation being as bad as it is, we should have been signing players anyway. Brentford will have reinforcements. Spence should be back, right? Your two centre halves should be back. At least one of them, if not both. Desi still be out. Vic, I don't think Vic's going to be that far away. Midfield wise, you'd think Pape or Biss should be okay by the weekend. Johnson, we don't truly know when he's going to be back. I think he's going to be back in at least another couple of weeks. I mean, you could have a situation where you're getting 4 players, maybe even 5 players back this weekend, which, look, that's game-changing for us. Obviously, it's massively needed, but it's game-changing that you can look at the bench and go, right, so if I said to one of those, can you go buy me a beer? He can legally buy me a beer. So it is something, it's not ideal and it's still not enough. And he still needs to be bringing in players regardless of these people coming back. And that's my crux of the issue is I think they're looking at some of these players being injured and them coming back and going, yeah, but they'll be back in a week. We'll just survive another week. I mean, they've punted on the Premier League already because of the attitude they have. Those additions are going to be massive. I mean, we're probably going to be knocking on wood, right? If you were to fast forward to the 18th of February, so 3 weeks' time, something like that, you're probably going to have Maddison back. You're probably going to have Johnson back. Odebear should be training around that time. You think your 2 centre-halves should stay fit. Spence will definitely be back. Bassoon will be back. Sarr will be back. And you start looking at it and go, well, you know what? That squad's back to where it should be, But no, in Spurs, we'll get all those players back, but we'll lose about 6 or 7 more on the other side of it. So it's like we're playing a game of tennis where it's like, you're just watching it going like this. 1 injury back, 1 injury out. 1 injury back, 1 injury out. 1 injury back, 1 injury out. And that's why we need 2 or 3 players. Look, we're sitting here 28th of Jan. Okay, the window shuts. Just want to make sure I get this right because January, I always forget how many days in the month there is. The window shuts in less than a week now. It's 6 days' time on 3rd of February at 11 p.m. So, we're talking now, we're coming up to 6 days and 4 hours once it hits 7 p.m. So we'll call it 6 days and 4.5 hours left of this window. And we've signed 1 player. Yeah, mental, but we still need 2 players. I still, the attitude of it's difficult, time to buy. I don't want to hear about it because I know it's absolute nonsense, and we're not going to be rambling about that sort of thing. But you still have 6.5 days. You should still be signing at least 2 players, and that's not because. And people go, yeah, but 6.5 days isn't that long time to sign 2 players. I'm like, mate, they've had 28 days before this to sign players in defence and attack. I mean, if we wind up this window with Kyle Walker-Peters, Evan Ferguson, and Kinski, we can count this window as a failure. Now, don't get me wrong, you've improved your left-back depth absolutely massively by Kyle Walker-Peters. The guy can actually play ange ball. He can invert. He's not useless on the ball, unlike other left-backs we have at the club, not naming names. He can also play right-back as he's natural right-back, and he's academy trained, so he can also play in Europe. So there's a lot of benefits to him coming in. Is it the sexiest of signings? No. But it's a serviceable signing. It's someone that we talk about people not knowing enough about Spurs sometimes at times. At least he knows Spurs and he knows what it takes to be a Premier League footballer. Ferguson, I feel like, would be I'm going to be real. It's not a dig at Ferguson because I think he's a good player. I think it's a crap move for us. We don't address the winger situation, which is, we're crying out to address that winger situation. We're crying out to give Heung-Min a bit more help to be able to rest him a bit more. And we're not trying to address that. We're trying to address the fact that, yeah, you got Solanke, but Richarlison, his backup, can't stay fit. So this is an insurance policy. It's like, we're carrying bodies then. And they'll go, yeah, but Richie can play left wing. And it's like, that's not his actual position, though. So it's what I'm struggling with. We'll see what happens on the transfer window because there's still time left. And look, let's try and remain positive. I've got my summer fruit squash, all right? I'm trying to be positive. Let's be positive that, hey, we can still have time in this window to adjust and sign players. Now, if they come out this window with Kinski and Kyle Walker-Peters, then there might be a riot. I can't lie. Now, if they came out this window, and this is just hypothetical talking, Kinski, Kyle Walker-Peters, Evan Ferguson, and a midfielder, you might have people kind of going, all right, that wasn't too bad in the end. They should have done some of that earlier, but it wasn't too bad. But if they end up with just Kinski and one other, then it's, yeah, you Daniel Levy, just expect for your name to be dragged through the mud every home game we ever have. He needs to buy himself some time and he needs to buy himself some PR. And that coming with that means you have to spend money. So better get your hand in your pocket, Daniel. Big up, you just recommended an algorithm. Appreciate that. Lord Rodney Trotter. What a name. What a name. Madison is out for 2 to 3 weeks. Werner injury's gone quiet. Yeah, he is out injured though. So, yeah. 18th of Feb, Ange will be out. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Spurs sick bay as a revolving door. We love to see it. The window's still a failure. Bournemouth signed 4 players. Ipswich Town have 3. That's what I mean. You can still spend money. Apparently we can't. Don't know why, but watch how we get a new signing and they only start in the new season. Yeah, they'll sign a player and go, yeah, but he'll be ready in the summer. He'll be ready in the summer. And it's like, okay, so you literally punted on this season. Yeah, but look at Romero, look at Van der Ven, and look at Solanke, and look at, all these players are coming back, and we're going to be such a good team when they're back. It's like, yeah, dude, you should have signed more players in the summer. And then you should have signed more players in January. So if that's the case, right, then next summer we need to spend about £400 million. They ain't going to do that. They ain't going to do that. We should have spent probably another 50, 60 in the summer. We should have spent 50 or 60 more this window. And before you know it, well, you're going to need to spend at least 150, 200 million in the summer, and they're not going to do that. So, honestly, the issue is they ran out of manipulating PR in the media. I mean, they're sending out Michael Dawson to back the ownership, by the way. If you saw that on Sky Sports News, do go have a watch of that because he's gone, fans should be better than that. And it's like, yeah, well, Michael Dawson's an ambassador for Tottenham Hotspur. He's paid by Daniel Levy. He doesn't speak for Spurs fans, unfortunately. And I love Dawes. I love him as a player. And he's only doing what he can do. Money talks, unfortunately. But he doesn't speak for Spurs fans. He doesn't. If you listen to pundits who aren't ambassadors for Spurs, who are ex-Spurs players, look, I think Glenn Hoddle's one of the worst commentators in the world. He's just, yeah. But if you listen to him on the Oval or Stick to Football, and he said football isn't the main thing at Spurs. It's the stadium. It's money. And he's right. He's right. But all I'm going to say is the club is all seeing and the club is all knowing. So the more you are unhappy and the more it gets talked about in the media, the worse they feel. So you've got to keep the pressure on. Hey, Josh, Matt, how are you? Just get the bloody ball bastard out of your club. We keep talking about getting players back, but let's hope we also keep the ones we got right now. It's not a given, the amount of injuries that... Well, yeah, exactly. You need to keep them fit. We need to keep them fit. But anyway, let's see. Elfsborg, obviously, Thursday. We're back tomorrow to speak, hopefully, about some bloody deals progressing, because the fact that we've got nothing imminent is appalling from the higher-ups. So let's hope overnight they wake up in the morning, they check their emails, and yeah, let's do this deal. And you go, oh, the deal's progressing then. Hopefully someone's going to help them because they can't clearly do it themselves. So let's see about that. Second channel will have 2 uploads tomorrow as well, so follow it down below. Obviously, if you want to join the Discord, I'll put the link into the chat right now. If you're watching this back and obviously you can't join, just comment and I'll send you the link myself. But anyway, enjoy the rest of your evenings, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the afternoons. And wherever you are in the world, enjoy it all. I'm going to enjoy my summer fruit squash. And I'll speak to you all tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Peace.